and gentlemen, welcome back to the European Masters Road Trip. My name is Rob Ghostly Dreams Price, and joining me as always is the amazing BP cast all the way from Shanghai. But we've got a very special guest joining us today. It is going to be Magvayer from the Ultraliga in Poland. And how are you doing today, Magvayer?
Hello guys, thank you for the invitation. I'm doing quite well. It's been a rough day. We are just after the regular split ended, and we are looking in the playoffs, so there's so much work to do. But yeah, we have some great teams coming up, and hopefully a good competition.
Yeah, because you've got some incredible talent when I look at that, too. Like when I look over at Ultraliga.
Yeah, I will be careful with stating some, strong statements before EU Masters.
After last year,
after
last season,
yeah.
Strongest region coming into European Masters. So how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I would still say that Poland is a really strong region. I think last year or last time during the EU Masters, all of the Polish fans were really disappointed with the outcome because what we call right now a meme was a Polish final in EU Masters. We really had high hopes, especially for Rogue Esports Club, which right now has 4 of the 5th of the roster in the LEC and are doing better than the previous one. And also Devils one. I think the play-ins were kind of harsh for them, especially getting to play against Mad Lions. This year, it's kind of different because Rogue also is just winning everything in Poland. They went 13-1 in the regular split, dropping only 1 game to the 5th place team, which is Pride. But anyways, we were also really surprised with how the regular split went because beforehand, we had like this tier list where we would put Devils 1, Rogue Esports Club, and Illuminar Gaming as the top 3 teams, and the rest of them would be just so much worse. But it turned out that the competition is so much tighter than we thought, and we have this like underdog or dark horse, whatever you want to call it, Aves, making it into the 3rd place in the regular season. And we have some, like Illuminar is 4th again. But of course, playoffs will be the reality because the best of 5 is another piece of cake from the best of ones.
Let's you touched a little bit obviously on the expectations that were set for the past EU Masters and Poland coming in, and I think it wasn't just the Polish region either. It was everybody. Everybody was saying, Rogue Esports Club, Devils 1, these 2 guys are semi-finals at least, bare minimum. Can you, obviously we don't know exactly what happened, but can you say, was it nerves, was it pressure? Do you think it just kind of was an unfortunate combination of a few different things? What do you think happened that made the kind of spring split go so badly?
Well, honestly, I still think best of ones are kind of random, and it's what you would expect someone to tell you if his team lost. But I think in the best of 5s or best of 3s, Rogue Esports Club as well as Devils 1 would perform better. But just to point out some of the difficulties, I think both of the Polish teams had a really hermetic view of the meta. They did not know how to play through the side lanes as well as like Misfits. I remember this game between Rogue Esports Club and Misfits where Dandan in the top lane just completely won, and later of course won game through the split push. I think Rogue and Devils 1 just did not experience this kind of the solo lane threat in the Polish region, so they were not so well prepared for that. Of course you scream against other regions, but if you usually play games on stage that are not around 1-3-1 compositions, it will be so much harder to adapt in the ongoing tournament.
Okay, and do you think it will be different this time round? Do you hope it will be different for Poland this time round?
I really like what some teams in Ultraliga do, because right now we have this clear favorite in Rogue Esports Club to win it all, but when I remember the last time they faced against Devils 1, it was 3-2 in the finals, it was 3-1 in the little final, because we have this I don't know, it's Swiss or some other kind of system. Basically top 2 teams go, it's the same system as in LEC, So it's really good because two best teams will get to play themselves probably 2 times. But other than that, Devils One has been showing some great adaptation lately with their comps. I really like the comp that was based on the press the attack cannon in the top side. It looked like one of the Genji games because they do a lot of split push with cannon, and I think there is so much more variety in what the Devils One showed lately. Also, we have this Illuminator Gaming, which they adapt to the meta pretty well as well, because Pookie style, he looks like the MVP potential, like the MVP material for the full split, because he was just playing out of his mind. But also they flex their mid laner with the ADC, so like you can go bot lane with Luke's Vel'Koz or Luke's something else, and usually Pookie style will play, I don't know, Tristana, Lucian. They showed it yesterday in the tiebreaker against Pride. And of course, getting to the Rogue Esports Club, Selfie is just amazing. I'm kind of worried about IBO replacing Finn, because Finn was just hands down best top laner in the Ultraliga. He had one awful game, but besides that, he was just stomping everyone. I remember his game on Kiana, which was just like the day after she was open in the patch. So other than that, I really like what Rogue does, because they also give Hikyu like a pike. So they can flex their ADC into more flexible things. But yeah, he can play like Pike in the bot lane with Morgana, and Hikyu and Raxo were showing some great performance lately also. So going to EU Masters, I would say Poland is sending some good teams, and we don't know which of them yet, but I'm pretty confident that we will do better this time in EU Masters. Like, you can't do worse than the one in the previous year.
So
That's true. You can only go up from here.
That's true.
So, in your opinion, then, I mean, obviously 13-1 is an incredible scoreline for Rogue Esports Club, but what are they doing differently than the other teams? You know, what is it that they're bringing? Is it just that they've got such a stacked roster? Because I look at, you know, like Selfie, Blobster Finn, as you said, you know, you got that incredibly strong bot lane there as well. So, what is it? Is it just the caliber of players, or, you know, what is it that they bring that is so different to everyone else?
At the start, it was just like star power of the players, because Rogue Esports Club would just usually stomp the enemy team during the laning phase. Like, they would go out with the 2k advantage, with more farm, with more turrets, etc. But lately, some other teams have been up to the challenge and actually took Rogue to the greater lengths in terms of the gameplay. But even after that, Selfie showed some Azir, some Corki special in Poland. It's really popular. Even we call it Polish Corki and stuff, because so many players play Corki. But Rogue Esports Club, they're I will repeat myself, but they're flexible in the way that they're playing through their bot side, because they usually give Selfie some scaling champion like Azir, like Vladimir, like Corki, and then he just destroys everyone on the side lane, because no other mid laner can put up with him. And with the recent addition of IBO, he was kind of left on the stranded island, because he was given stuff like Gangplank, so you are not easy to die if you have global pressure, and Mordekaiser, so basically around objective you will just ult enemy jungler, and they are mostly playing through their mid lane. And also, if Hikyu is able to get Pike, they will play through Pike, and usually just get prio from the stronger lanes, invade enemy jungler. But other than that, yeah, I think it's the most stacked roster in Ultraliga. So naturally, they will come out with a great advantage from the laning phase. But they are strong as a team as well. They work as a unit, and it developed during the Ultraliga, because during some of the first weeks, they did not look like a team, more like a 5 just great players.
So as they start to go towards European Masters, obviously, where you've got a lot of stacked talent, does it feel like they're holding back and kind of not showing everything they're capable of, because they haven't really been tested, or do you think they have something else they can bring out? Because we had like Broken Shard when he was on was talking about LDLC is this absolutely incredible team. You've got some really strong teams coming out of Germany and Spain and that kind of stuff. So do you think when you get to that stage, we'll see them take another step up where they can start to show that we're not just 5 really strong players, we've got a really strong understanding of macro?
I really believe that Hikyu taught a lot his other teammates. We also had Woolite for 1 game in Ultraliga, or 2 games, and after all, they are screaming with the main roster. They have all of the coaches help them, and you know that, like, I can't go too much into detail because I'm not sure how many things I can tell and talk about but I think they were not tested yet in Ultraliga. Obviously, they lost 1 game, but I think it was just a great play from the enemy team. And even though they were putting up a great fight and dragged the game out for like 40 or 50 minutes, but I think the real test will come in the best of 5s. If they can sweep through it like 3-0, then I'm really confident that there is a bigger challenge to come in the EU Masters. But beforehand, I'm just really confident that Selfie with his international...
I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, she never died?
That was a tornado.
Yeah. Sorry, continue. Yeah.
I think that was my bad because I didn't hear shit. I apologize.
It was just this tornado that went through for a second. I was just like, okay.
Well, I was safe and sound here, so I apologize for that. Please go on.
Yeah. So getting back to Rogue, I really think that the international experience from Selfie and Hikyu will help a lot this team, and I have seen them improving from game to game, especially in the way that they are playing with the lead. If they get lead early on, they will probably just end game around 25th or 30th minute or 30th minute, because they are not like a G2 in the way. I think they're more of a splice, just with the difference that Hikyu plays a lot of pike if it's open, but like other teams actually realize that if you leave pike open for Hikyu, he will go 100% for that. And they punished some Sona Tamkinch lanes with that. They punished some aggressive lanes like Zyrakan and some other scaling stuff. So it seemed like a really, really good setup in the bot lane. And the time that Hikyu went to LEC, I did not see him play pike. I was kind of surprised because it worked so well in Ultraliga. But other than that, Hikyu had some great games in LEC, especially one with the Ashe.
So for Ultraliga, sorry, Rob, just before you go on there, this is just for Ultraliga and for like kind of, being seen as this kind of really, really strong region as such, is anything but first place at EU Masters kind of, a failure in the eyes of the Polish fans? Like, do they expect to be winning pretty much all the time in these European competitions?
So yeah, the mentality of Polish fans is like you go big or you go home. Basically, they have really high expectations since the first iteration of EU Masters, when Illuminar Gaming went to the finals and lost against Origin. If you remember that roster, most of the players are in the LEC right now. I mean, it was Kikis, it was it was not Humanoid, it was Sebex, and it was Woolite. So Kikis was in LEC, he's not right now, but Woolite is playing in LEC. Other players are still on the top of their game in the Polish league. Then with Humanoid, Illuminar Gaming kind of struggled. But yeah, since the first EU Masters, if you don't beat the score of Illuminar Gaming, Polish fans will not be satisfied. If it was up to me, I think if we got 2 teams to the at least semifinals, I mean, I have heard that before. But yeah, I think Rogue Esports Club could surprise many people at the EU Masters. But still, it's kind of shaking best of ones, because I think the slower kind of play style that they have, if Misfits, for example, Premier happened once more, they could struggle against those kind of teams. But yeah, I think at least semifinals would be a good start. and then we can look at the future EU Masters and future tournaments.
We're kind of talking about Rogue as if they've already won Ultraliga. Like, do you think anyone can take them down? Like, is it just a case of these guys just? I know 13-1 doesn't like. I mean, it speaks for kind of a lot for itself. But is there a team that you can kind of see is going, okay, maybe these guys can take them down?
I mean, of course, I see some teams standing a chance against Rogue Esports Club, but I just don't see the universe without Rogue going to EU Masters from Poland. Like, I cannot imagine sending out Devils One and Illuminar Gaming, or Devils One and Aves, or Aves and Illuminar Gaming. There always has to be Rogue Esports Club. So, of course, they dropped one game. Yes, in yesterday's game against Devils One, they were kind of losing. Then Raxo got his Bard and he got a 4-man ult, which saved the game. But yeah, I can definitely see some teams trying to take them down. But as I told you before, best of fives is so much harder for like younger teams to overcome than for Rogue Esports Club that have Selfie and Hikyu that have been through best of fives multiple times in their careers. But yeah, like in the last year during the Ultraliga finals, Devils One were 2-0 in the best of five, and then they came back with the 2-2, and in the last game it was just heartbreaking because it was so close. Devils One almost made this beautiful comeback, but Rogue Esports Club won after all. So, of course, I see Devils One as the biggest threat to Rogue Esports Club right now. But I can also imagine the Illuminar Gaming, especially with the way that they were being playing lately with the intelligent role swaps and all that stuff. I really like how they adapted to meta. They used to be this team that played really simple with like picking Braum, Sejuani, and Corki. Right now they're experimenting because like the old coach Veggie, he is a head of esports right now. So let's say there is a new coach who was assistant coach to Veggie beforehand. And right now they're just playing much more aggro. They're trying out new stuff and it seemed to be working. So hopefully in the best of fives, they can bring out so much more stuff that can be flexible and that can give them victory.
So kind of when I look at the talent that you do have, because I mean, as we look through all the European Masters, like I'm seeing so many repeat names come up. Like when I look at Devils One, you got like Agressivo there, Syncroft, and when you go to Erdose, I look at Illuminar. There's like Castellan, Delord, and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's hard to not look at this region. And I mean, I'm not to hype you up because I know that's not what we're trying to do. But this is looking like an incredibly strong region. Any of these teams that would go for it, I would be expecting to do incredibly well at. And I think that's why we kind of have a lot of criticisms for European Masters is that best of one scenario where if you end up getting caught out on the day, it really can mess you up. But are there like, so when we're looking at the German league, they like loved their Yasuo pick. I know you've talked about the Corki pick, but are there like certain things that come from that you feel are strictly Polish or the Ultraliga does super well? Like what's the strength of the region when you look at some of these teams?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like 1 week ago, we had a pre-show around the best and the worst picks in the Ultraliga, and I can tell you that one of the players, until the last game of his Zoe, had like a 30 KDA on Zoe throughout his 12 career games. It was Matislav. But even though without Matislav, we have Castellan, who also plays a lot of Zoe. We have this Corki pick, which is just amazing. Polish teams just go for the first pick Corki anytime they can. And without that, if I'm thinking about top teams, let's say I could talk about the trends that are throughout the Ultraliga, but for the best of the teams, let me think about it. Skarner is a really highly valued pick throughout the whole package, throughout the whole Ultraliga. But top teams also used to pick him. Like I remember Inspired picking a lot of Skarner in the first season of Ultraliga, because it's kind of weird because we have season 0, season 1, and now it's the season 2. So last time the Rogue Esports Club played, it was with Inspired. He played a lot of Skarner, but also a lot of Olaf. So you can imagine just Polish players looking up to Jankos. We even call him like a butcher from Poznań because he lived in Poznań, and he also plays this butcher Olaf skin a lot. So it's those picks. For ADC, we mostly play like Zaya and Sivir, so the boring stuff. But without that, we have the Pike for Hikyu. I think it's really important, and I think like enemy teams just should ban the Pike for Hikyu. Pike for Pike. What that would be weird. But yeah, mostly jungle stuff like Skarner and Olaf. Yeah, I think that's it. Zoe is like the most notorious one for the mid laners, especially the best ones. Castellan, Selfie can also play Zoe. There is also other names like Nick. And for the team that placed third, the Aves, you may not know many names from this team. For a Polish fan, some of them would be easy to recognize because some of those players are on a Polish scene for like 3 or 4 years, but they have this mid laner, Butsu, who is like Polish leader. He only plays Stalin, Zed, Akali, he only plays assassins, and it actually is working. Like they beat Illuminar 2 times. They had some great fight with Devils One and other top teams. So like he's a Polish leader basically.
So big thing that I noticed when we talk about the slightly bigger regions, the German, the Polish, the Spanish, the French, is that you can only send 2 teams. And that is sometimes very heartbreaking for 1 or 2 players in particular. Is there anyone that you kind of feel, it's going to be like a bittersweet question of sorts, but it's like you feel deserves to be at EU Masters, deserves to be able to show off their stuff, but maybe isn't in the team that will be able to bring them there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Looking back at the last EU Masters, it was Illuminar Gaming with Delord. Delord is like the most likable guy on the Polish scene. He has been here for the most time. He played in a Russian LEC for some time, but he has never been to like a European tournament and won it. So this time around, Illuminar Gaming is looking stronger than last time, but I can't see them not getting into EU Masters, and not getting into EU Masters 2 times in a row would be just heartbreaking for this guy. Also, I'm looking at the Pookie style. He is his duo partner in the bot lane. So basically, in the past, there were 2 biggest Polish teams: Illuminar Gaming with Delord in support, and Pompa team with Pookie style in ADC. So they were like biggest rivals on the scene. And after Rogi Sports Club joined the league and Pompa team disbanded, Pookie Style joined Illuminar Gaming. And at first, it was not working so well. But during this season, Pookie Style and Delord were the best bot lane. Like they were better than the Rogi Sports Club bot lane. With their kind of new stuff, going like putting Pookie Style in the mid lane, but also on traditional ADCs. And just looking at Illuminar Gaming, if they will not be able to go to EU Masters, it would be heartbreaking for those 2 players, especially because we have some young talent in Ripson. He's an upcoming jungler for Poland, kind of new generation of inspired. We have Connective, who used to be like a tank player only. We would call him Cyan when he passed us, like on the street. We would just call him Cyan. But right now he's so flexible. He plays really intelligent, and he's like not giving up advantages during the laning phase at any time. He can play against Aggressivo, he can play against Finn, and he will not lose his lane. And also Castellan, who was in Giants and who is performing really well. Also, just adding on the top of that, Castellan really likes to play Vel'Koz. The thing about it, he is right now studying maths at the at the Warsaw University, so you can see the connection between this guy and Vel'Koz. So I think the Illuminar Gaming, if they do not go to the EU Masters, that would be heartbreaking. And also, if Devils One does not qualify for EU Masters, it would be a big disaster because they have this 3-story building in Warsaw where they train, where they have their like cooks with the kitchens, with the living rooms, with the big conference rooms and stuff. So they invested a lot of money into League of Legends, and basically their goal is to be the best team in the Poland. And they won last ESL ESL Championship. They won last PLE, but they did not win the Ultraliga, which is the highest standard of the League of Legends in Poland. So basically, they only struggled with Rogue Esports Club. They have a really good record against Illuminar Gaming at all in all time. So I see both of those teams not qualifying would be heartbreaking. But I don't see Rogue Esports Club not qualifying. Like it's out of my mind if they don't go to EU Masters. I'll just go out and I don't know. I don't know. I'll do something else than casting.
Just hang up your headset. That's it. You're done.
Yeah. Goodbye, boys. I'm out.
So when it comes then to the battle for second, then I mean, obviously you've got Aves that has kind of been the surprise team in Ultraliga. You've got Devils, Illuminar. I mean, Pride has even shown that they can take a game off of Rogue Esports. The only ones to do it. So, is there one team that you see possibly higher than the others with the potential to go for that second place, or do you think it's just too hard to call at this stage?
Sorry for the ambulance. Yeah. So, what? So thinking about the second place, I know it's stupid to base your predictions or your opinions on the all-time results of the teams, but when it really mattered, Devils One would just win with Illuminar Gaming, and it was back when they were Team Esports Performance Center, and then they rebranded to Devils One. So I think right now Devils One looks like the clear favorite for the second place, but lately the underdogs in Aves, they looked just so good. But the thing about them is, like, I don't see a way that enemy teams cannot figure out how to play against the Butsu, who is just playing assassin stuffs for the past 3 years. They have Charu in top lane. You might remember him from the Mature Makers. Back in the days, he was a Polish mid laner for this team in LCS. He swept the lane to the top lane, and I think he's the best top laner in the Ultraliga right now. He's just playing so many champions. Like he would play most Victor, but he also can play Rumble. He showed a great game on Cannon with the 5-man flank against Illuminar Gaming. I can later show you that clip because it's just amazing. He won the game single-handedly, and he's just really hard to deal with because he's kind of in the same way as Connective. He's never losing a lane. But Aves lately have been showing some great team play. They've been picking aggressive bot lanes. They've been picking these aggressive mid lane champs like Talon and Zed, and they were just snowballing games. Other teams had no idea how to play against that. And I think more experienced ones like Devils One or like Rogue Esports Club will not make the same mistake. Going further into Illuminar Gaming, like I told you before, I really like the way they're playing right now. They're experimenting. They are playing according to the actual standards, the meta, with the role swapping things, with the really intelligent stuff. And they have so many experienced players that had worse or better results, but I don't think there is a drive for a second place as hard as it is in the Devils One. And Devils One have all this pressure that we gotta win. We have all those resources behind us. We have great coaching staff. Hachi is our head of esports. We have this, big building that became a meme. But I think they're a great young talent in Aggressivo, especially. He looked like the closest player to be in LEC from Ultraliga at the start. He had a bumpy start, but lately he's been playing a lot better. He has been playing a lot better, especially with Devils One drafting around him, giving him champs like Camille, like Cannon. So if I were to put my money on somebody, I would go with Rogue Esports Club first and Devils One second. But it's not like a 70-30 situation. It's more like a 55-45 between Devils One, Aves, and Illuminar Gaming. Of course, I'm not counting out Pride, but during the last week, they played just terribly. I think
that. It's like, I'm not counting out Pride. I just haven't mentioned them in any of my arguments.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, they are the only team to beat to have beaten Rogue Esports Club. But since Yashiro left, he was kind of banned for the bad behavior, it really hit them hard because the new German ADC in Funky is not playing well. Oh boy, like if you thought that Ezreal is the safest ADC, you did not see this guy play him.
Oh no.
And not to be so harsh on him, he sometimes succeeds in his aggressive play, but most of the time he's just being caught off guard. And I heard that Yashiro was responsible for the big part of the communication in Pride. So I think they kind of went downhill after losing Yashiro because they had just been on the 4-0 winning streak. They just took down the Rogue Sports Club, and something like this happens. So I think there's just not enough fuel in their tank to get get better plays during playoffs. And the last team that is in playoffs, it's Pirate Sports, but they fought yesterday against Actina Pact in the tiebreaker for the last spot. So as much as I like players in Visek, in Nico, in one of my old teammates, Blue 45th, I don't think they stand a great chance of like even taking a map from the better teams. So for me, it's mostly the big battle between four of the teams. Of course, historically, it's Rogue Sports Club, it's Devils One, it's Illuminar Gaming, and the upcoming stars in Aves. I think those four teams can actually fight for the second spot and of course the first spot, but I would give the biggest chances to Rogue Sports Club because historically they've been dominant in this during this split. They went 13-1 and they just showed some great flexibility, and I think there's so much more to come for them.
I think that's fair. This is the second split in a row. They've only dropped one game as well. I will triple check that in a moment, but because I think in season 1 they also went 13-1. But maybe looking at it from more, obviously we talked about the Polish league in depth. We talked about expectations, what the teams were wanting to do. Is there any particular region that the Polish league just has like I wouldn't say a fear maybe, but a lot of respect for? Like a team that they kind of look at and go, okay, these guys are really, really good, and if there's anyone who's going to beat us, it's going to be these guys. In your head, is there anyone like that in Europe that they fear or kind of respect very highly?
Yeah, I think all of the Polish players and all of the Polish fans want to beat Spanish teams because many Polish players went to play abroad, especially in Spain, like IBO coming back from Movie Stars. There was Castellan, there was Mystikas, and all those great players. And usually after you go back from Spain to Poland, it's like a downgrade. So Polish teams and Polish fans want to show the European scene that Ultraliga is better league than Spain. And like not going into the greater detail, if you ask any Polish fan what league would be the best or what league do you know from the other European countries, they would probably go with Spain. So I think it's the biggest rival. And also in football, just Poles usually lose to Spanish guys. So I'm not saying we hate them, but I think it's a great rivalry between Polish and Spanish fans, since we lost to Origin, since Devils One dropped out against Mad Lions. So yeah, I think Spanish region is the biggest threat for Polish teams.
Do you think you can take them down? We obviously don't know exactly who the Spanish representatives will be this year, but do you think Ultraliga has it in them this time?
Dude, usually I'm talking about like, oh, why is this Polish team going to beat this Polish team? And right now I'm just feeling like a Polish fanboy who is just supposed to say, hell yeah, boy, we're going deep. Poland is going to do great on EU Masters. I mean,
that's fair.
I mean, yeah, I still respect Spanish teams a lot, but I think Spanish team was kind of close in this quality to Ultraliga that many teams are really tight in the standings. So I think they do not have one team as dominant as Rogue Sports Club, and it can be a good thing and also a bad thing because all the teams have the same level and they all have to sweat for the win. But yeah, I think Polish teams can take down Spanish opponents, especially with the drive just to get revenge from the previous European Masters.
Then what do you kind of feel like? Because you kind of mentioned there, that a lot of Polish people move over to Spain to go and play League of Legends over there. So what would you see is what your region has to do to try and make Polish players stay in Poland? Because obviously you've got some fantastic teams there, and it sounds like you're starting to get some investment, with Devils One having their three-story gaming house and all that kind of stuff. So is it seeing a little bit more investment into the scene? Is that the driver to get people to stay and play in Ultraliga, or what do you feel is like the next step for Polish League of Legends?
Since the Ultraliga, it's been so much better in terms of keeping the Polish talent in Poland, because before there were just some random tournaments thrown out throughout the year, and right now we have league, we have contracts, we have all that roster logs, and 2 spots for EU Masters. So lately, a lot more players have been staying in Poland and actually trying to win in Poland, since the level rose up, and just more like some teams are still on the top, and we have some stronger teams that you can join probably. So what could Ultraliga do to surpass the Spanish one? I mean, it's really hard to tell from outside perspective. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, because I have never been to, I don't know, a Spanish studio. I think the Spanish fans are really passionate, and I love that there is so many people during the offline tournaments, during the finals, cheering for their teams, and like players are actual brands, players have actual followers, and all this stuff. So I think some Polish players are going to Spain just to discover, just to experience the like a kind of being a pro player star in the society. But there's many Polish players, like imagine Agresivo could go to, I don't know, LDLC, could go to some others, to some Spanish teams and play there, and probably go to LDC after all. But he chose to stay in Poland because there's some great initiatives, and well, it may sound like I mean, like, we have great hopes, and just people try to try to achieve their goals in Poland, because they believe they can do it right here, right now, since Ultraliga got live.
Right.
That was kind of hard for me.
It's okay. No, I get it. That was like, because it's kind of interesting to see, because we were kind of talking to some of the guys from the Baltic leagues and from other leagues, and it's kind of like, what do you feel needs to improve in your scene? Like, we're talking to Colin as well, who's from the Benelux region. He was saying, a lot more investment, and it really does feel like more investment from the fans as well, like getting them involved and finding your favorite player and your favorite team, and just having them, like as you say, kind of create that celebrity status seems to be a big way of having people follow your region, getting them involved, and that seems to be a big one. So it's kind of interesting to see. That seems to be the big thing around Europe, is that
Hmm.
people are finding it tough to get the fans heavily involved in it.
Yeah, well, just adding on that, I think there is 3 like big organizations in Poland that have actual legit fan base, legit like
Hmm.
salaries and a history behind them. It's Illuminar Gaming, Devils One, and of course Rogi Sports Club. And I think, sorry, that was a fly. And of course, I think some other teams could invest more into League of Legends, because in Poland, Counter-Strike scene is a little bigger.
Hmm.
There's so much more money and investments in there. But the top teams are actually making deals with partners like, I don't know, chewing gum, Orbit. You for sure
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
Orbit in
yeah. We
the,
do, yeah.
so yeah, Orbit, or I don't know, the Play. It's like I don't know, T-Mobile, or
Okay,
other
yeah.
operator.
Mhm.
So the top teams are actually getting investors, and they're actually like being legit in the way that they are working as an organization. But I think we could use some more, really, we could use some stronger organizations in terms of the rest of the pack. I'm not saying that Pride or Avis or other organizations are bad, but I think there's just 3 really strong organizations, and the rest of them is trying to catch up, and it's a good thing because they're working really hard on their social media. I really like Pirate Sports social media because they're kind of Polish G2 in social media. They're just making a lot of memes, and they're being hard on some other teams, but it's nice, it's cocky, and it's something that people like. You know, like they are the 6th place team, and they are playing against Rogi Sports Club. So we make this tweet with the poll: who is going to win, Rogi Sports Club or Pirate Sports? And community just votes Pirate Sports. It shows a great initiative. So I think more investments so that the organizations can thrive and actually make money from it.
So something that I'm very curious about, I don't know if you can hear me because my RTC says it is disconnected.
You're good.
Awesome, fantastic. Chinese Wi-Fi, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, something I'm very curious about, from the Polish league is, you guys seem to be machines when it comes to just developing amazing young talent. Like people talk about Polish junglers, and it's not just a meme at the moment. It's literally like you look at some of the top teams in LEC and even within EU Masters here historically, it's like it's always about Polish junglers no matter where you look. So is there a particular, in your opinion, is there a particular reason for that? Is the league structure just kind of set up correctly? Do you think that the player base is set up right? Why is there such a good pool of talent within Poland?
Of course, I think Jankos is a big factor, since he's like the great he's a great
pioneer
or superstar. I'm looking for other word. Is the like all players aim to be a one,
the role
like
model.
Role model. Yes, he's a great role model because he does a lot of he does stream a lot. He also interacts with Polish fans. He's playing on the best team in LEC or in the world right now. So I think just Polish players have drive to becoming a second Jankos or becoming a Kikis or following into the footsteps of Selfmade. And I think Polish players are great as individuals. It sounds bad if you think about it, that the teamwork is not on the point, but I always thought that the best Polish players were like one and only Pole in the team. Like you can imagine, Mystikas is doing really well right now in the XL. Okay, Selfmade is not having the best season of his life, but the last one, he was the rookie of the split. Jankos, obviously, with G2. I'm not saying that Poles cannot work together, but I think it's just so much easier for a Pole if he breaks through a language barrier to actually work in the environment that gives him ability to like be a really strong factor, because most of the Polish players wants to be the reason why their team won. Like when you look at Jankos, when you look at Selfmade, when you look at the Mystikas, they're not playing Braum and sitting back. They're playing Thresh or Rakan and initiating. They're playing Olaf or some other really aggressive stuff like Rek'Sai with Infinity Edge. That's the best example for Polish aggression. And I think it's just drive to be the best. And if you have 5 players in one team that all of them want to be a shining star of the team, it's just a conflict of interests. And of course, there are some players that lay back and let other players carry, but I think that could be a reason. I mean, yeah, it kind of sounds. When I think about it in perspective, it kind of sounds stupid, but it's the feeling I have, because I used to play as a, let's call it professional player, so I had some contact with most of the players that are in Ultraliga right now, and I just had this impression that everyone wants to be the best, and it's a good thing, but sometimes you just have to take a step back to make 2 steps forward.
Yeah, and then obviously playing in the jungle gives you the opportunity to kind of be the shot caller and show off what you have. So It makes sense that then a lot of the guys are kind of teetering towards that jungle role in a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think the the thing why we have so many, let's say, younger players is because, as I said before, Jankos is streaming a lot. We have a lot of League of Legends kind of celebrities on or influencers, and young players just look up to them and want to be the best. For example, Devil's One, I did not mention that, but they have the scouting ground team, so they have kind of 10-man roster, and they have a mid laner who is 15 years old, and he's a challenger on Western servers. So you can imagine where that guy will be in 2 years if he still becomes even better than that.
I thought you said 50 years old, and I was
No.
just like, damn, wow, this guy's going after granddad, and he's still pumping him out. That's amazing.
If you think about that, it's more impressive than being 15 and
Yeah.
having a
Exactly, it is more impressive. I almost want them to have that situation.
Still got those reflexes.
So this will be my last question of the evening, and then Rob, you can add anything if you would like. I always do this, but this is slightly easier. So I know you think it's going to be Devils One and Rogue. My question is now changed to win it, and who out of those two teams, if you think yes, is going to win it for Poland? See, it's a little harder now.
Okay. It's harder because I did not catch the questions. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
So no, it's totally okay. My Wi-Fi is terrible as well. So, are you going to win? Is Poland going to win EU Masters? And if so, who out of the two teams is going to win it?
Oh, that's easy. It's Rogi Sports Club.
Wow,
They
Devils
will
One just like gone down.
I mean, they will obviously beat Devils 1-3-2 in the finals, so that's why. No, but honestly, yeah, if I were to, if it were to be Devils One and Rogue Sports Club in the EU Masters, I just see Rogue right now having like a higher ceiling than Devils One with Selfie and Hikyu. I think they really want to show everyone that they are the LEC level, so winning EU Masters would be the way to go, because Selfie had a rather unlucky career, if I say so, with joining the teams being dropped down and just going around the world, and I think he wants to prove himself once more. He's been showing a great performance in the Ultraliga, so the bigger challenge will be beating all of those European talent in the mid lane. And Hiki, of course, he is parting time with Woolite in the LEC, but Woolite has been seeing a lot more playtime recently. So I think it's just it's a personal thing for Hiki to win EU Masters, because if you can't win EU Masters, why would you play in LEC, you know?
Well, on that, I'm just the follow-up question, the last one of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be the one that you don't want to be asked. Do you think you can win it? Is the hype there, or are you cautious? You're scared.
Dude, it's like, I'm cautious, so I'm not gonna... It's like, I believe we can win. I think we have many arguments to win, but I will not go out on the street and tell people around me like, oh, go tune in on the EU Masters, Polish teams are going to win. I think there is a way. I think they are strong opponents, but I think the Polish scene has much to offer. And I see especially teams developing over the playoffs in the best of 5 series. Of course, if we go... Okay, I'm going to tell you that. If Polish teams are going to win in the best of 1 format, I'm really confident that they will do great in the best of 5s and actually win the whole thing. So the best of 1s, that's the only catch.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, you have to win best of 1s in order to play best of 5s. First things first. So yeah.
So if the Polish teams make it to best of 5s, you're confident enough saying that they'll win the whole thing.
Yeah, you can take my word for that, but not my head or not my hand.
You can just find him at the Twitter below his name and tweet at him instead, But yeah, but on that bombshell, thank you very much for joining us for this class, or this research into the Ultraliga here on the European Masters Road Trip. It's been awesome having Magvayer along. Thank you very much for filling us all in. And we'll be back some stage next week with a few more of these episodes to try and get us caught up before the European Masters actually kicks off. But thank you very much for joining us. That's going to be all from us for tonight, and I hope you have a great night.